Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and we are talking about a changing coffee industry in this series. And in the last episode, we spoke about a turning point and we talked about a tsunami that is coming. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you're going to change your business model, or a better word, I guess, is adapt your business model for when the tsunami hits. You ready? Let's do it. This episode is brought to you by the Cloth Filter Company, who hand sew reusable coffee filters for all your favorite pour over and batch brew devices. Save trees, save money, make delicious coffee. I use them almost every day, so check the show notes for details. Throughout this series, you've heard me talk about a tsunami. You have heard me talk about and explain what I mean by that tsunami. If you haven't, check out the last episode of this series. But that tsunami, I believe, is coming. Many people believe it's coming. Contrary to what I saw at MICE, a lot of people are unaware that this tsunami is coming. They have decided that they're going to focus on the recovery from the pandemic. They only want to be optimistic. They only want to be positive, and they're not prepared to see what is coming. On the other side of things, when I would speak to people in private, they would say to me, look, I know. Privately, I'm happy to admit that I know that this is coming. Publicly, I'm only prepared to let people know that we're all excited. This product that we've got coming and pushing out, it is going to change everybody's businesses, but we know there are tough times ahead. Your job for your business is to figure out what you believe. Your job for your career is to figure out what you believe, and for you to be prepared for that. So in this episode, how can you figure out if you need to change your business model to adapt to whether you believe a tsunami is coming or not? In my business, we have been preparing for this tsunami since the beginning of March last year. We have been preparing content to be ready for when the tsunami hits so that you can have the tools that you need, if we can provide them to you, to get you through this time. So step one, figure out if the tsunami hits, whether it's going to impact you or not. Is it going to force you to reshape your business? Is it going to force you to close? Is it going to allow you to close? There are going to be people out there that are going to be super excited to have a reason to close their business. They didn't take the opportunity when the pandemic happened. This is going to be the thing that gives them the opportunity to close their businesses. Figure out for yourself how this tsunami will impact you. Step two, figure out how this tsunami will impact your customers. You know who your customers are and who they are not. How likely are they to be price sensitive? How likely are they to continue buying your product? How likely are they to stop buying your product? How likely are they to communicate with you about where they are? Why they stopped buying your product? Are they willing to communicate with you and answer customer surveys or not? Figure that out now. It is important for you to understand in assessing how well you can be prepared for proactivity by understanding how you'll be able to sell to your customers. And this will also allow your staff to be able to adapt to the sensitivity of consumers who will be affected and impacted by the same tsunami that you are. The next step, step three, ask yourself, based on step one and step two, how can I diversify my revenue streams? You don't have to have 25 revenue streams. If you have one revenue stream now, I would say start preparing very quickly to have another 2 revenue streams, that if the primary revenue stream that you have becomes impacted, the other 2 revenue streams are revenue streams that you can lean on the same way that we all had to pivot in the pandemic. Make sure that you have 2 other revenue streams that you can cultivate moving forward. And connect those alternative revenue streams to the sensitivity of your consumers' buying behavior. So you ask the first question, and the second question, or step 1 and step 2, is connected to step 3 because you need that information to figure out what the relevant revenue streams are going to be moving forward as the tsunami gets closer and as the tsunami hits, and what happens after the tsunami. My understanding and my prediction for this is not a tsunami that's going to happen and we're going to be done in a year. I think this is going to change the face of our industry. It is going to change the way consumer behavior is, and it's going to do that for about a decade. I think that this is going to be with us till at least the end of the 20s. So how can you, that leads me to the next step, step 4, how can you pivot your business for the time ahead and change your business plan so that you absorb and thrive throughout this? So if you can understand how or what the options are for your business to pivot, then you'll be able to figure out what your options are moving ahead. So do you pivot from a staffing perspective, from a business structure perspective? Do you change your product offerings? Do you change the way that you access capital? All of these things are things you're going to need to think about. How much stock do you have on hand? How many staff do you have on hand? Do you automate? Do you not automate? Is it worth making the investment to do that now, or is it better to wait? And that leads me to my final step. Step 5. When you make your plan, make the plan so that you're thriving, not just surviving. And I think that survival is our first objective. If we can survive this tsunami, that's a big win. But also have a plan to thrive once you've survived it. The only way that you're going to get there is through planning. There are going to be some people who plan to fuck other people over. Don't be that human. For a long time, I didn't believe that balance was restored when people treated people badly. My faith has been restored, particularly after MICE. A lot of the conversations that I had during MICE helped me gain some faith in the system, and I am very excited by a lot of the accountability that's coming based on conversations that I had during MICE. This is going to be a very interesting 12 months based on some of the bombshells that people have prepared to speak out on, and let's just leave it there. But if you are somebody who tricks people and lies to people and indoctrinates people to buy things that they don't need at a time where people are mostly hurting, that kind of karma, and I wasn't a big believer in karma, but I am now, because that kind of karma does eventually find its way back to you. It just needs enough time to work its way through the system. So in a time of crisis, treat people well. Demand people treat you well. And don't just believe people because of the bullshit that they're spinning to you. Ask questions, act with integrity, and fix problems. Base your business models on fixing problems for your customers, and they will love you. You will continue to give them reasons to love you. I hope you found this helpful. 1 episode left in the series. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.